Android and iPhone users. For the full version of WFO Radio, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
We're going to get started with our post-race media availabilities for today's 61st Annual Daytona 500. We are joined by our second-place finisher, Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 M&M's Chocolate Bar Toyota. We will open up to questions for Kyle. Please raise your hand. We'll start here with Matt Weaver.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. For the conversation on the final restart with letting Denny come in, what was the consideration there, and were you opposed to that plan?
It's first and foremost to try to make sure that we at least get a JGR car to victory lane, and they didn't want to do it the previous restart, but then since he got the lead, he wanted to do it again. So, it is what it is. Just at least we got a JGR car in victory lane. That's the big picture. That's what matters, and we move on.
We're also joined by our fourth-place finisher, Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford. We'll continue with questions. Just raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. Go right here.
This is for either or both of you. Doug Turnbull for WSB and PRN. Just for clarification, we've seen so much different kinds of racing this weekend. What were some of the characteristics that made the action on the track today different than what we saw with the Cup cars earlier in the weekend?
I don't know. Maybe the race is bigger, the pack's bigger. It seemed like you can get more cars to go down there. That's probably what it was most. Instead of a 20-car field, you got 40 cars and 30 of them really racing. So it seemed like there was times that you had enough cars down there that the bottom was stronger for a while. And I thought that was fun, kind of working the lanes back and forth, and tires would start wearing out and cars were wiggling around the racetrack, and then the top would start to prevail again. And it was a lot different race than what we were all expecting. I was expecting us to be up against the wall, and I quickly found out pretty early in the race that this is going to go a little bit different than we thought it was going to.
We're going to stay back there in the back.
Yeah, Mike Bianchi. How was the racing today? Did you guys like it? And is there anything that could be done to avoid all the wrecks in the last 10 laps?
I thought the racing today was pretty good. Like Joey said, I think having a full field of cars obviously just allowed the bottom to materialize and have enough strength down there to be able to keep some momentum rolling, and not everybody just being able to be so strong around the top. So, there was some good racing today. I thought the 2 wide, sometimes the 3 wide action, sometimes the mixing it up, guys would get loose and get shuffled out, was pretty intense there in a few times. And I wouldn't say that much needs to be done. Maybe we just don't need to have races with 20 cars on the track. We need 40.
Go to Matt, Jeff, and Dinah.
John Haverland, New Mexico Motorsports Report, to your left, Kyle. What does this win mean for the organization? Having JD passed away a few weeks ago?
It's obviously very, very good, and a boost in confidence and everything else for everybody, included with Joe and all the things that Joe and the family had gone through over the last few weeks, and losing JD. It certainly is a very bittersweet situation for myself, as I'd much rather have been the one to win the race and be in victory lane and celebrating with my team and with everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, and being a part of the JD celebration. But overall, you couldn't be more thrilled for all the 500 people back at Joe Gibbs Racing that knew and respected and obviously looked up to JD for the person that he was and for the relationships that he gave all of us.
We'll go to Jeff, Dinah, and then Al.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. For both of you, I guess, I've only gotten the chance to see the replay once, so I haven't exactly processed what happened. But, Joey, it looks like you were upset with McDowell because coming into 3 and 4, he goes with Kyle, and you're feeling like if McDowell sticks with you there, you have a chance to get a run on Denny. Is that correct? And then, Kyle, what did you need, like run-wise or somebody help-wise, to catch Denny there?
Yeah, I was just, when Kyle got a great run down the backstretch, there was no blocking that move, and we were going to crash if I was going to try to block that one. So I had had to let that one go. And I thought, with the blue oval behind him, that the Ford would come with me. It's kind of the choices that you have to make, and you have a split-second decision on all that. And typically you kind of expect manufacturers to work together, like the Toyotas do or the Chevys do. And I just was expecting that as well in that moment coming to the checker flag, and was very surprised by his decision.
And for me, I was trying to back Joey up at the entrance to pit road and through the trial, and try to build that energy between Joey and who was behind him. Can't remember who it was at the time. I think it was a 47. And coming out of the trial, Joey just pulled left and got to my inside and made it too wide instead of giving me the shove. So it was his race to go win as well too. Just didn't happen.
We're also joined by our third place finisher, Erik Jones, driver of the number 20 Sport Clips Toyota. We'll go to Dinah, Al, and then Jerry.
Dinah Pulver with the Daytona Beach News Journal.
He was going to pass everybody.
Dinah Pulver with the News Journal. There was a lot of talk after Thursday about the Fords, but tonight the Toyotas came out on top. What does that say about the Toyotas? Were they outperforming or outlasting?
Who's that for? Who's that for? Which one of us?
For you, I'm sorry.
For me?
Yes.
I'll take this one.
Yeah, good. You can do the politicking.
I thought the Fords were really, really strong still, especially when they got themselves in a group, and they had 8 of them, single file, whatever. They were pretty fast, but then there were times out there certainly that the 95 led a lot of laps. We led a lot of laps. We got out front. There at the end, I think it was just track position. How we came off pit road, the 11 and the 18 pretty much just kind of kept the front of the field at bay for the rest of the day after, with 30 to go. So I think that it was pretty evenly matched as the day went on. And we kind of saw that, some of the Toyotas and I don't know if it was just coincidence or what, but some of the Chevys were kind of working, and the speed was there in those situations to keep up with the Fords.
We'll go to Al, Jerry, and then Jacob.
Yeah, Al Pierce from Auto Week. For you veterans, we'll get to you later, but for you veterans, are y'all happy to be done with the restrictor plate era, or are you sort of uncertain about what's down the road, or, do you just take it as it comes?
I think you just take it as it comes. The racing's going to change. It's going to be different when we get to Atlanta than we've ever had before. We don't really know what expect the unexpected, I guess, just like we were for the Daytona 500. We just don't know how those races are going to play out, and each track's going to be different. And like I said on media day, you're going to have to give this some time to really understand if it's better or not, or what you like or dislike about it. Because as these teams evolve and start to figure out this setup, you're going to see the racing change again. So what you see in Vegas 1 to Vegas 2 is probably going to be a little bit different. So if we give it time and give it a chance, we'll see what happens. We'll all know next week.
We'll go to Jerry, Jacob, and then Nate.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires at net. Joey, out there, Michael McDowell went to talk to him afterwards about your conversation. He says that he's paid to drive his car, not yours, and know that you guys are both Fords, but he was trying to go for a win. He said you had a lot of damage and didn't feel like you were going to be fast at the end.
Yeah, at that point, he wasn't going to win. He was going to have to pass Kyle.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no chance.
He jammed on the brakes getting into turn 3 anyway. I mean, he pretty much just put Joey and I alongside and the 11 to win. I mean, it was like,
neither one of us got the push on that deal.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll
go to
good
Jacob.
Sound effects.
Jacob Seelman, Speed Sport Magazine. On that note, I've got 2 questions. First, for Erik, I'm still trying to figure out where you came from. I mean, where did that run from 3 to the flag come from for you to make this a 1-2-3 finish for JGR?
The car was still pretty good after the damage. It looks really tore up, but it went down the straightaway really good. So the Sport Clips Camry was pretty quick all day. I think had we not had our issue and had to pit, we could have been right up there with Kyle and Denny for the remainder of the race, hopefully without damage. But we just got some big runs, holes opened up, and those guys were up there trying to fight for a position. And as they were doing that, I was just kind of able to go where they weren't and had a big run each way and get a few spots. So I knew I probably wasn't going to win, but you're just trying to maximize points at that point.
And for Kyle, we heard the radio with a couple to go before, I think 2 to go in regulation, where you got told the 11 wants to race now. How tough is that to balance, when to call teammates off in the final laps? And did you think this was your best shot? Did you feel like this was your best shot yet to win the 500?
Yeah, I mean, the 11, we try to work together as much as we can. You kind of see it sometimes at other racetracks as well too, but here at Restrictor Plates, when you have guys like that up front, you try to work together as much as you can. And the situation kept presenting itself, and it just was what it was. I mean, I'd much rather see a JGR car, no offense, but much rather see a JGR car in victory lane than anybody else, obviously. So I felt like keeping our strength in numbers and getting us lined up was going to be the best that we could be. And what was the second part? Yeah, this was probably the best shot to win. Being up front that much at the end of the race and having the track position and being in those positions on those restarts and whatnot. That one restart where Denny wanted to race, I took the bottom because I felt like having the 14 behind me. 14 was pretty fast, and the 22 was behind him. I felt like that was going to be, I think that's how, no, you were on the outside. It was the 34. I felt like that was going to be a good lane for me to be in front of, and they came off of 2, and they all spread out, and then that's when the 14 got crashed, and then the 11 had the lead because he was ahead at the time, so that kind of cost us, and then he wanted to go back into teammate preservation mode again. So kind of funny how it swaps back and forth a little bit, but it is what it is.
We'll go to Nate, Matt, and then upstairs to the press box.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. This is for Kyle and Joey because you guys both have over 10 years of restrictor plate experience. Relatively tame race until the last 10 laps. Relatively tame in terms of number of crashes until the last 10 laps. There was one multi-car crash, I believe, until the last 10 laps. Last 10 laps, 3 crashes, 2 massive, 2 red flags. Was that just a case of the over-optimistic driving and aggression you see toward the end of a plate race?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, brains come unglued. That's all it is. Everybody just, the brain connection from right up here to the gas pedal foot doesn't quite work the same anymore. So there's a lot of give and take and a lot of guys that play the game and race the race throughout the beginning portion of the races, and then it comes down to the end. And somehow, some way, there's always that caution within 30 or 40 to go that sets everybody off pit road, and then it's chaos after that. So, it's just fact of the matter. I think I've been caught up in plenty of those. It was nice to be in front of all of that tonight.
Yeah, you know it's coming. And especially this race, what's on the line. It's the Daytona 500. No one's really worried about points or getting themselves into the playoffs yet. Everyone's thinking, I want to win the biggest race of the year. And like Kyle said, the brains come unglued, and instead of people kind of giving light shoves down the straightaway, it becomes full-on attach all you can, and then cars
or Juan
get
Montoya
swirly.
style.
That's the third sound effect today. It's pretty good.
Right? Like you're looking at your mirror and you're waiting, and they just run right through you. Bam!
Yes. And then you get the squirrelies down the straightaway. Yeah.
Go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week again. For Erik, the fuel pump issue you had, do you know what that was?
No, I don't know. I was just driving down the front stretch and lost fuel pressure, and it was running, but just not very good. So it ran terrible all the way back to pit road. I got to pit road, pulled in the pit stall, and I said, no, it's running fine. So I took back off, and then I ran the rest of the race. I don't know.
For EJ and for Kyle, the JD factor coming up here to Daytona, first race since, to be able to have this unified effort and bring it home 1, 2, 3, extra special.
Yeah, I mean, for me it is. I think for everybody it is. It's obviously we all miss JD, and to come here and have such a good run. We had a good run, but we had really good cars all weekend. We had really good speed, and to come out 1, 2, 3, it's pretty neat. And not only that, we were up there in contention all day. So that was a great day for us overall. Pretty storybook, I would say.
I'm not a Gibbs driver, but for what JD's done for my career is the reason why I'm sitting here today. And as bad as I want to win it, it is pretty cool to think the first race after his passing to see those cars 1, 2, 3. It says he's up there watching and maybe gave you guys a little extra boost there at the end. So congratulations to them. I do think that's cool. I can at least remove myself enough to look at that and say that's a really cool story for you guys to write about.
We'll go upstairs to the press box and then to Holly.
Bruce Martin with Auto Week and with Speed Sport. This is for Erik. Matt Weaver kind of beat me to that question, but the fact is, J.D. Gibbs aside, you knew him the shortest of anybody up on the dais. What did he mean to you, and also the historical perspective, being the first team to finish 1, 2, 3 in a Daytona 500?
That's not true. Didn't Hendrick do it in '97? Yeah.
Okay, being the second team to finish 1, 2, 3.
All right.
You know, it's great anytime. I mean, anytime you can run 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is a good sign for your company and for your team. And it was great to do today. For me, you know, I knew JD very early in my career at JGR when I first got into Xfinity part-time in 2014. Yeah, 2014, I ran a couple races and spent a little bit of time with JD. I didn't get to spend much with him, but, you know, great guy. My father was a big fan of JD and what he was doing at Joe Gibbs Racing. And, you know, I think you're hard-pressed to find anybody who would have a bad thing to say about JD.
Go to Holly.
Holly Kane, the NASCAR Wire Service. Erik, I just wanted to ask you to speak a little bit about racing here at Daytona on the restrictor plates. I mean, you're really proving to be somebody that does very well here with your win last time and now they're top 3.
Yeah, I guess. I was a terrible restrictor plate racer for the last however many years I've been coming to them, since 2015 probably. So, I don't know. It's been, you know, 3 good races in a row since Daytona, Talladega, and now Daytona again. It's been good. We've finished top 10, top 5 in a win. So, I don't know. It's just worked out. You know, I mean, you got to have some luck along the way. And
there it is.
What?
You said it. There you go. The L word.
And you got to have some.
Right.
And go back and watch my in car with about 3 to go. And there's some luck there.
No skill, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was some skill, but there was some luck. But no, it's just worked out good. We've had good cars too, so it's all worked out.
We'll go to Al.
Yeah, Al Pierce, one more question for you, Kyle. Joey mentioned that going forward, the rules will change maybe almost every week or every other week. Do you like that scenario where you and your team have got to adapt to new rules virtually every weekend? Or do you mind, like he does, just take it as it comes along?
Everything's going to be new at every racetrack that we have to figure something out every week.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the rule book isn't going to be changing every week. But, yeah, with the rules change, this new package, we're all going to have to be adapting each and every week. So, yeah, I agree with what Joey was talking about. And there's going to be particular racetracks that are going to take different necessities within the car and how you set it up and things like that to make you fast. California is going to be different than Atlanta. That's going to be different than Vegas, which is going to be different than Martinsville or Bristol or whatever, you know. So obviously with the different packages too that we kind of have, you got a 550 horsepower package and a 750 horsepower package. There's going to be differences when you go to some of these places. So those things are all, you know, going to mix the field up, I believe. You know, it's going to depend on who kind of hits it running, I guess, next week, and who's going to be ahead of the game, and what all, with open garages, what all everybody's just going to copy as weeks go on.
Thank you. Do we have any final questions for this trio of drivers? Come over here to the far left. Looks like we have 2 over there.
Tom Bowles, front stretch. Kyle, I just wanted to ask about DiBenedetto for a minute. Were you guys surprised that he had that much speed today? And what do you think of the new team? Do you think he can get to the same level along with LFR that, you know, at least somewhat of a level that Furniture Row once had with you guys?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised at all. Having wheels over there and having JGR equipment and stuff like that and being an affiliated team, I feel like they did a really good job, and Matt did a great job behind the wheel. He was fast. He was smooth. He looked really good. I was just disappointed that he wasn't able to kind of be there at the end. Felt like he was definitely an ally for the 18 car for much of the day. Same with the 20, and being able to have that opportunity to be together was good for much of the race, for the both of us. And then, you know, I think as the season goes on, there's restrictor plate racing is definitely different than the other racetracks. They're going to have their work cut out for them. They're going to have to figure out what it's going to take exactly to make themselves successful. I wouldn't say they're going to light the world on fire right out of the box, but I'd like to expect them to grow into their situation and hopefully be an affiliate that we can certainly rely on.
I think we had one final question over there on the left.
I know that setup is always a big question, and of course the setup for the heat of the day and the cool of the night. But during this race, we had a lot of cars get really banged up, and yet some of those banged up cars are still contenders toward the end. How do you all handle when it's something that you know you're not going to be able to fix, and how do you keep going forward?
You were the most wrecked, right?
Yeah, I was pretty destroyed.
You were good destroyed, though.
Yeah,
you can get good damage, too, you know.
Yeah, we got some okay damage in there. But I don't know. I mean, at first I was kind of thinking, I could still drive it back. I mean, I couldn't really tell how bad it was at the time. But it's just such a race here of just perseverance. I mean, you get down to those last 20 laps. I knew there was probably going to be another wreck. I didn't expect what really happened there, the few we had. But getting down to the end, at one point I was like, well, there's only 14 cars left. I said, I might as well just go race now. So you just got to stick with it. I mean, this is the one track where you can have quite a bit of damage and still get up there and contend. And that's what kept me going, knowing we were still going to be in it and be able to get a good finish.
All right, gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Good luck in Atlanta.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we are now joined by the winning team of today's Daytona 500. We have our driver, Denny Hamlin, crew chief, Chris Gabehart for the number 11 FedEx Express Toyota. This is Denny's second Daytona 500. This is Chris's first Cup start as crew chief and first win. We will open it up to questions for these two. Please raise your hand. We'll start here with Matt.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. This is a question for both of you guys. Kyle was in here earlier and said that he was trying to coordinate the restart plan, the restart before, and that you guys had declined. And then he said that once you guys got the lead, that you guys were more willing to try to negotiate a plan with the 18. What went into both of those restarts and the planning back and forth with them?
Yeah, I think the first one, I'm not sure if it was a green-white checkered or not, but it was inside 5 to go. And I thought that, any deals and stuff like that, our original deal was inside 10 to go. After that, you kind of race. We kept going. We had, I think, a restart with 7 or 8 to go. We worked together. And then they asked, and we said, let's just race it out. And that was with the second to last restart. We decided we wanted to kind of race it out, being on the front row. I kind of liked, and I was hoping he was going to take the line that he chose, and he did. So that put us in a good position. Everything that all the experience that I've had, I knew what line I wanted to be in, and it was going to be a 50-50 shot whether he put us in that line or not. And when he did, we got the lead. The caution came out, and then we were fine. Just going ahead and staying racing like we were. I knew the top line was the line I was going to choose. And they actually came over. I think they came to my spotter and said, "Hey, do you want to drop down in front of us? We're open to do that." And when I saw him and the 22 lined up, I was like, "Well, absolutely, sure, I definitely will do that." So I thought that was the best move for us. But it still gave him a great opportunity to win because he got a great run on us on the backstretch, and we had to block it. And so I think that he probably knew the same thing that I did, is that bottom lane deteriorates really quick at the end of these races. I've been on the bottom lane 3 or 4 times here on a green-white checker and lost the race every time because it was just not the place to be. So I thought that he was actually pretty smart in thinking that, hey, if I drop down in front of him, that puts him in the position to go on offense against me. So if he's on the inside of me and I'm right there on his door, there's no offensive play that he can make. He made the right move, in my opinion, to let us do that so he can have the 22 and make a run.
We're also joined by team owner of Joe Gibbs Racing, Joe Gibbs. We'll continue with questions. We'll go to Al, Jacob, Callie, and then Jerry.
Yeah, Al Pierce from Auto Week. Chris, for you, not to short shrift what you've just done, but a lot of athletes and coaches say, okay, we're on to the next one. Atlanta's going to be a whole new deal. The rest of the year is going to be a whole new deal. Is it difficult for a crew chief to prepare every week for an aero package and a rules package different from what you had the week before?
Yeah, well, I can tell you the unfortunate truth is we probably just lost a day preparing because we're going to be here putting a car in the museum, and that's quite all right with us. But you're exactly right. With all the unknowns in NASCAR right now with the rules packages, I think you guys are in for a treat week to week. You're never going to know. Everybody's trying to figure it out, and every racetrack's going to be a little bit different. So there's going to be a lot of comers and goers to start the season, but I have so much confidence in the people around us that Joe Gibbs Racing and FedEx and Denny trusting in me to allow me to do this. And we've just got such a strong group around us. I'm just a lucky guy that every now and then gets to jump up and call the play. But in the past 3 months, it's become so evident to me that it's about the people around you, and I'm just a very small part of that. And let me tell you, this 11 FedEx team has a very good group around them, and I couldn't be more excited to get going.
Not tonight, you won't be.
I don't mean to discredit this win, but I'm always thinking about the next one. No doubt about it.
Go to Jacob.
Jacob Seelman, Speed Sport Magazine. Got a couple here. First for Coach. You were in here earlier in the weekend talking about what it might mean if this is storybook, though. I mean, what emotions, what's going through your mind after this?
I'd just like to retrace for a minute what happened tonight, which is, it's the most emotional and the biggest win I've ever had in my life in anything. JD built our race team, was the guy that ran day-to-day operations for 27 years. He invested his occupational life in our race team. And as a part of that, he went up to purchase some late model stuff from Denny and struck up a relationship with Denny, put him in a test, put him in a truck, put him in a Xfinity car at Darlington, and finally he said, we need to sign this guy. And so that started the relationship and everything. And
thank you for that first check, by the way. I got a set of rims for my truck and a plasma TV.
Of course,
I was in high. I was a hit in my town.
That is the truth. He had nothing. Okay, and 3 years later, he bought a house next to me that was twice as big as my house. So it tells you I get in the wrong end of everything. But I wanted to retrace that and then to say JD's favorite number was 11 when he raced. That's what he had. Denny's number is 11. Denny put JD over the doorpost on that car. And to have that take place, everything that took place tonight, everybody knows we've been to Daytona 27 times. We had won twice before. And so, you're thinking about things, and I guess everybody could say, well, that just happened. I don't believe that just happened. I honestly believe it was, I think the Lord looked down on us, and I know JD and everybody in my family was emotional. Called home to Pat, and I called sponsors that were emotional too. It was just an unbelievable night, unbelievable crowd. The whole thing was just a special memory for me, and it's one I'll never forget, and it was the most important night of my occupational life.
Denny, two parts for you. Number one, I know you were trying on TV to put it into words. The Gibbs family, this win, I mean, what does it mean sitting here right now? And the second part, what is it with you and new crew chiefs bringing them to victory lane in this race?
Yeah. For one race, he can just hop on the back. I'll carry you in here, but I'm going to need him the rest of the 35 other ones. I'll say that, kind of answering last question first, but Chris is just so prepared. I mean, almost information overload. I have to temper him sometimes like, okay, I got it. I don't need motivation. I don't need thank you for the information of all the things that I need, but he's just so prepared and he never leaves. He, just in the couple months I've worked with him, he's just so meticulous about every detail and giving me all the information that I need to go out there and succeed. And so, that's the kind of guy that you look for that can carry you a long way. And, as far as, the Gibbs family, it's just great to, hearing that, Joe and everything that he has accomplished in his life. I mean, NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl champion, and saying that this is the biggest win of his career is just special, and it's just special for me to be able to deliver that to him in a special way. I know he would have been happy with any one of his cars going out there and getting a victory, but obviously one with his son's name on the door and number is probably a little more special.
We'll go to Kelly, Jerry, and then up to the press box.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Denny, first off, did I hear correctly over the radio that now that you're a 2-time Daytona 500 winner, Michael Waltrip can kiss your ass?
Yes.
And can you please explain that?
That's the only thing he ever held over my head constantly. Well, I've got 2. So, yeah, it's we're such good friends, and it's we play golf all the time. Everyone knows that, but he was always everyone. We would always go to these golf tournaments, and then he introduced me, and then I introduced him, and he's like, hey, I got 2 of those. I got 2. Just think twice as many as you have. So, not anymore.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Denny, for your win tonight versus your win a few years ago, which one's better, or can you evaluate that yet, and which party would be better?
I'm taking this one in a little bit more. I was just so, everything was just so crazy at the end of the 2016 race with the final lap, how it all played out. I couldn't believe anything that happened. It was in awe the whole time. This one, I actually, through the red flags and everything, I was kind of taking everything in. I fell asleep twice and under a couple of the red flags because I was just relaxed. I knew what I needed to do, and I wasn't going to venture off from that. So I wasn't nervous about, hey, what if this happens? What if that happens? I knew in my head what I needed to do, and if the race worked out great for us, we were going to win. If it didn't, I'd put forth all the homework and done all the work to figure out where I needed to be, and I knew where I needed to be, and circumstances was going to dictate whether we won or not. So I was pretty relaxed the whole time and really taking all this in. What?
Which party is going to be bigger?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I was feeling pretty bad last time. The plane ride up was awful for me. So I hear I have an extra day to prepare. So that's good news.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box and then in the back to Peter.
Lee Spencer, RacingVoice.com. Gabehart, you're batting 500 at this point. What do you have to do with this team so you don't become complacent now that you're already in the playoffs?
Complacent is not my vocabulary. We're going to go win 35 more races the way I look at it. People say you can't win every race, and I disagree. I mean, I show up every weekend to win, and I know Joe Gibbs expects that of us. I know Denny does, and I know my race team does. So my intent is to win 35 more times, and we may fall short, but I'm going to Atlanta to get another one.
Go on the far back over here, and then we'll go to the left.
Great, thank you. Peter King, CBS News Radio, and this is for Denny back here. And those last 10 laps were like...
an hour long.
Literally.
Well, I was going to say not like a race. It was more...
It
was more like Survivor out there. So tell me what it was like to be able to avoid those 3 huge crashes. And I think at last count, we counted 36 different cars were involved total with all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, I was actually looking at the time on the dash. It was 5:40 something, and I'm like, and I'm looking at the scoreboard, and I'm like, wow, at 6:15, we're going to know the end of this race. And I look, and I'm like, at 6:30, we're going to know the end of this race. They're sitting on the red flag, and I just see the ticker just going. I'm like, at 6:50, we're going to really know who won this race. So it was crazy how long it took, and I've been in so many different super speedway races. I've seen 5 laps take an hour before, but the track was just an absolute mess, especially in 3 and 4 with all the crashes. We just were fortunate to really be up front at the right time to avoid those. I mean, we were really 1 row in front of all the mayhem the entire time at the end. So that's a credit to the pit call we made at the end to get our track position back from the kind of the fueling issue that we had mid-race. But it's just, I mean, sometimes you're fortunate to be in the position you are. We were pretty lucky to be up front at the right time.
Going to go to Mike, Dominic, and then Nate.
Mike Massey, frontstretch.com. To properly celebrate a win like this, like how do you properly celebrate a win like this when you have that champions breakfast at like 7:30 tomorrow morning? Do you stay up all night, or do you try to get a few hours of sleep?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been under the weather a little bit over the last couple of weeks, so I probably won't get too crazy, honestly.
Actually, he and I both, yeah.
Yeah, I may have
believe that or not.
transferred that, but it's been a tough couple of weeks. Just being sick a little bit. So I'm not going to get too crazy, but I want the team guys to really enjoy it. I mean, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of the same faces that we've had that were here in 2016 that got to enjoy it, and I just never will forget celebrating with them and seeing how excited they were after winning a Daytona 500. Because honestly, you never know, right? I mean, you're a pit crew guy. You could be moved to another team, and you don't know if you don't, will you ever win it again? I encourage all those guys to really live in the moment and enjoy it, because I definitely, that was some of my fondest memories from the first one, was spending it with the team guys.
We're going to go to Dominic, Nate, and then up to the press box.
Dominic Ottagona with the Racing Experts to your left. So now that you've tied Dale Jarrett now on the 24th all-time on the wins list, is that something you take a look at, or just kind of comment on what that means to you?
Wow, he's so much better than I am. I don't know. That's amazing. Never really thought of it that way. Those are guys that, I idolized growing up. I mean, I shouldn't even be mentioned in the same breath as Dale Jarrett. So it's crazy that we have the stats that we do. I never would have thought it, in the 14-year career that I'd have one Daytona 500 champion. I wouldn't have dreamed I'd have 10 wins. I wouldn't have dreamed anything that's been accomplished, but certainly won't take it for granted.
Thanks.
Go upstairs to the press box.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. For Denny and Coach, too, if he'd like to address it. When you have such a tragic event such as JD's passing happening so close to the start of the season, I just wondered when it could produce heavy hearts and so forth. How did you feel the team approached dealing with that coming down to Daytona? It almost seemed like you guys had a very calming effect the entire speed weeks.
Well, I think for me, I just really appreciate everybody. Chris said it, everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing is like a huge family. And I want to say that NASCAR itself, if you think about everybody in that winner's circle, everybody from NASCAR, Jim France, and everybody all the way down, I just appreciate that so much. And the other thing that's different about this sport that I really appreciate is our sponsors. And the emotion and everything that's wrapped up in this, FedEx, everybody there, the relationships you develop with them, and you go through tough times, tough year last year, and then to have a victory like tonight. And I appreciate everybody here from FedEx, and I got a chance to call Fred Smith and thank him. And then Toyota, if you think about a partnership like that, how much they put into this as a company, as big as that company is, and all the things they can do, they choose to be a part of this sport and this race team, and they're a huge part of it. I can't thank them enough. And so I think, I hope we all kind of get that. What's special about this sport is our sponsors and all the relationships and everything that it takes to get to have a good race team. And I just appreciate that so much. And it's always been people that, in my life, that you appreciate are the people. And so just really thrilled to be a part of a sport like this. I know we've gone through tough times here recently. I'm going to tell you, I swear I think our best year's in front of us. And we got so many people working so hard right now in our sport. So I'm fired up about it, and this is the only thing me and my family want to do. We don't have anything else. So this has to go.
We'll go to Nate, John, and then Bob.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Two quick ones for you, Danny. One, the fact that you and Kyle work so well together, there's always a lot of dissection of your relationship. There was the number 18 pit stall last year at Miami. Was this validation for that you guys can kind of work together and be good teammates, be good teams together?
Yeah, I really think over the last handful of years, we've really worked well. I had a great working relationship. I mean, I had forgotten about the Homestead thing, to be honest with you, but I mean, we did exactly what we said we were going to do: work together the entire race until 10 laps to go, and then let's go out there and try to get a win. So we, you know, I know that he wants it bad. I understand, you know, the fire that he has to win the Daytona 500. Trust me, if I could switch resumes with him, I would, in case I ever had to write one. But he's just he's a great talent. His time's coming. There's no question about it. He's usually getting wrecked out early and never even had an opportunity, you know, to be in the position that he was at the end of tonight. I think the one advantage that I had is I've been in that situation so many times over the last 10 years that I knew where I wanted to be. And I'm sure mental notes have been made, and obviously, you know, if it turns around the other way next year, I'll congratulate him the same way.
And then, you know, for you, after a winless 18, I know, you know, first time in your career, I think you're set with Gibbs beyond this year, but when you have winless seasons like that, people start asking questions. You've got the new crew chief here with Chris. Maybe both of you could address this. I mean, how important is to get a win first race out of the box and kind of maybe quell some of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident in everything that we have going here. I've got a great company in FedEx that has supported me for the last 14 years and believes in me, and Joe and his family has believed in me. You know, it's not like we weren't competitive. We just didn't win the race. I mean, we were leading on the final restart at Brickyard 400 and the Daytona 500 last year, and circumstances took us out of those races. You win both of those in the same year, and they think you're amazing. So we just didn't win the races, and I understand that that's very important. But we've been competitive my entire career, and I don't see that changing. I know that Chris has you know, got a great plan ahead of us. You know, starting next week at Atlanta, I've actually got to do some work Well, maybe I won't do that now. Yeah. But you know, he had plenty of work for me to do in the middle of this week to get prepared for Atlanta.
Yeah, we're going to have to rewrite this week a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's he's prepared, and he knows that. You know, he wouldn't have took the job if he didn't think he had a competitive driver. So it's good to go out there and validate all that.
Any thoughts on that, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, again, I can't say enough about the people. I mean, and this guy is the winningest driver on today's Cup circuit who has not won a championship, and he's come close so many times. And we're going to get him there. But, you know, Denny Hamlin not capable of winning with Joe Gibbs racing behind him and FedEx behind him. And, I mean, I'm the lucky guy. You know, they asked me to come in and try to shake it up and put a fresh perspective on it. And I said, sure, I'll jump at the chance, because this guy's got what it takes to win at Homestead and win it all, no question about it. And if I can be the guy to help provide the spark to get that done, then strap on and let's do it.
We'll go to John, Bob, and then Beth Ann.
John Haverland, New Mexico Motorsports Report to your left. For Denny and for Coach, I just wanted to get your thoughts. Were you surprised at how well the 95 ran today? Like, he led about a quarter of the race.
Yeah, he really ran well and did a great job in the draft. And really, that's when I talked about we were always one row ahead of the Mayhem. I saw he was right behind me, pushing me on one restart, and I actually moved up to block him. And the next thing you know, he gets wrecked. So it's like, you know, circumstances, and Joe's got a better understanding of why he thinks all that stuff happened today. But we were very fortunate. But, yeah, he was running great. Obviously, Wheels has a lot of notes from what we were successful here with, and that car was super, super strong. And it'll be very important for us to have that car running strong and to gather more information, because, you know, as an organization, we don't want to lose a car. And by losing, you know, Furniture Row last year, hopefully that 95 team can kind of pick up where they left off.
We really kind of hit it off with Bob and their group. I appreciate Toyota and all that they've done over there. I really think we have a great chance to take that team and continue to work with it. I think it's going to take off. I was thrilled for the whole weekend. I kidded Bob. I said, the very first race in that 125 and you kick our rear. I says, you're not supposed to do that, okay, back off. But really, that isn't a very important partner for us. You know, we are the small number, the Toyota cars. So we need that car to step up. And I was thrilled that they ran the way they did.
We'll go to Bob, Beth Ann, and then Holly.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. I have two for Denny. First off, is there any part of you that's still wondering how in the world the Fords couldn't work enough together to beat you?
They took each other out, it looked like. I don't know. The wrecks were always behind us, which I didn't kind of see, but we worked really well together. The Toyotas, we had a few Hendrick cars help us in certain situations as well, which was big. And, really, it just you can kind of just find your way to the front. I mean, if you can't beat them, sometimes you have to join them. You have to join the pack that they're in. You got to see what they're doing and join them. So they are very strong. They've got some great drivers over there, but really the numbers has been the biggest thing that's been the biggest obstacle to beat with those guys, is that they just have so many of them. The power's in the numbers. And so I put our group of 4 or 5 up against anyone. And today you can see, the little manufacturer has a 1, 2, 3 finish. That's a pretty good feat.
And also, I think I can politely say that confidence has not been one of your issues. But
thank you.
I'm curious if last year at all, did you ever lose any confidence by going winless?
No, not really, because I was still competitive. I mean, I think we had a string in the middle. I think right when the playoffs were starting, we won like 3 out of 4 poles in a row, and we were fast. We just, we struggled in certain situations, and really this year being a whole new ball of wax, it's just, it's a complete reset. So there was no doubt that, whether it was last year's package or this year's package, we're going to be successful and we're going to win races. Some of the greatest drivers that have had winless seasons, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, those guys. So, I was never doubting whether I was still capable of, winning races, and I'm still not, as you know.
We'll go to Beth Ann, Holly, and then Caleb.
I'm only 38, by the way. Why does everyone try to shove me out the door? I'm 38. Statistics say 39 is your prime. What's wrong with you people?
38 sounds good to me. I wish I were 38 again. So you're doing just fine.
You look 38.
We'll love your sweetheart. Anyway, you got 3 in a row this time. 1, 2, 3 finish. And how is that going to affect not only your team, but the whole Joe Gibbs racing team? And another thing, I'd also like to take you back to that letter you wrote as a child about winning the championship and that promise you made to Joe about bringing him one of those. How do you feel this year with this kind of start toward getting that goal?
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3 finish is great. I can't remember, did we have a 1, 2, 3 in 2016? I think we did. I'm not too sure, but there was always. There's going to be one excited one, and 2 that think about what could have been, obviously, and luckily we're on the good end of that. But certainly, as an organization, these are the days that you hope for. So Joe can kind of touch on that, but I know it's really big for everyone at the shop to have. A Daytona 500 victory, no matter who wins it, because everyone has their fingerprints on every single race car. There are no team guys when we enter that race shop, so it's a team victory, and we treat it that way.
Go to Holly, Caleb, and then Matt.
Holly Kane, the NASCAR Wire Service. Denny, we talked about this at Media Day, but you got the first win here as a rookie. You've won 2 Daytona 500s. I think you're one of only 2 active drivers with multiple Daytona 500 victories at this point. Would you concede this is a place that you feel pretty good at in this style of racing, and could you just talk about that?
Yeah, there's something about Daytona. It just fits, whatever I do. It's my style or whatever. To have won, I think this is our 9th win at Daytona in different series and clashes and things like that. It's just I never would have dreamed winning 9 times at Daytona. So this is just one that this one's extra special. But I just think I've gotten smarter as I've gotten older about where the things that I need to do. I mean, really, it took past failures over the last few years of not winning the Daytona 500 and learning from those circumstances that put me in the situation tonight to put myself in the right situation to go out there and win. So it's just years of experience helps with all that. But as far as the first win here as a rookie, had to be complete luck. I have no other explanation. Thanks.
We'll go to Caleb and then Matt and Mike.
Caleb Whistler, KickingTheTires.net for Coach or Denny. This is the 100th Cup Series victory for Joe Gibbs Racing in a Toyota. How special is it for you to have 100 wins with one manufacturer coming in the sport's biggest race?
It's really great for us. The relationship we have with Toyota, the partnership, the friends, and that have developed over our period of time with them. It's a special deal for us, special for them. And to realize, like I said, you got a company like that could be doing a million different things around the world. And for them to choose to be in our sport is just a huge deal, I think, for us, the sport. They're great partners for us. And the big thing is they want to win. We've gone through this year quite a bit with JD. Coy coming over now is a big part of, him moving over when JD got sick. So we've had a lot of change, and then we bring in Martin this year. There's been a lot going on. But our people there, I think, at the race team, we've got a lot of people been there with us 20 years, really. And a lot of those in the management team. So it's Chris mentioned it, it's our people. You win with people, and we certainly got great partners.
Go to Matt on the far left side.
Matt Corson with theracingexperts.com for Denny. It's my understanding your 2016 win car currently sits in your living room at home. Will this one be going back there next year when it comes out of the museum? And for Coach, are you going to let him have it?
First of all, he already threatened to bill me for the car I wrecked in the Clash practice.
That's a side story. Nobody was supposed to know that. Honestly, I will tell you the absolute truth. I did get ticked off, okay? So.
Oh, no, I knew. The upper lip was trembling when you were talking to me.
I go in there, and at some point in there, Coy and I are sitting in there, and I said, and you're going to pay for that car, too. I gave him one of those, and so I walked out in the winner's circle there. I walked up to him, and I said, forget that on the car. I got it covered.
I don't know.
That's a true story.
We got to talk about this one for sure. This is a special car for sure, but I think this is probably a special car for his family as well. So I'd like to, if I don't have it, I definitely would like to see him keep it and do something with it.
Yeah, we're going to take care of this. Yeah, we will. We'll take care of that car.
Go to Mike.
Mike Neff from FrontStretch.com. This is for Chris and Denny both. We saw 3 days of racing where it was a parade around the top of the track. And today, from the beginning, we had 2 lines, and they were both pretty competitive. And the bottom even seemed to be better as it got late enough in the night. Was Jim France's request part of that? Or was it more of the heat of the day making the top not as advantageous as it had been?
You want to take that softball or me?
Yeah, you go ahead.
I'll be glad to. This is the Daytona 500. You got the sport's best, the 36 or 36 drivers out there, and racetracks heated up 50 degrees, and it's time to get after it. This one counts, and not only does it count, but it's the biggest one of the year. And anybody who thought they were going to line up and ride around the top for the Daytona 500 for 490 miles. He doesn't know the competitive nature of these guys. So I chuckled with my guys on the intercom 5 laps into the race when they're 2 wide and you can see the cars sliding around and getting runs. I'm like, oh yeah, anybody who thought this thing was going to line up and be boring's got another thing coming. And needless to say, that was the case. So it's just a whole other thing, Daytona 500. With everybody out there trying to get after it, it's not going to be boring.
Do we have any final questions for our Daytona 500 champions? All right, Coach,
Thanks.
Denny, and Chris, congratulations, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks to everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, really, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate that. By the way, I'm buying it. Everybody knows my story at Steak and Shake. Head to Steak and Shake, I'm buying.
This is WFO Radio.